Live, and it says I'm live. Okay. As people are coming back from that lunch period, the clocks are really weird. Like the Chromebook at one point said 10:58, and then I looked at my phone and said 10:59, and look up here and it's almost like 11:01. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, I mentioned the AP testing because I proctored the one yesterday, and when you took it, did they still have the wooden tables? Yeah, they switched them over. But I'll tell you, I went over yesterday to proctor this test, and I wanted to show up early, so I got my stuff, and I'm over there at like 7:15. The students aren't supposed to show till 7:30, and then the test begins at 8. So I'm there at 7:15, and I'm told, oh yeah, someone will be there to unlock it for you. Nope, no one was there to unlock it for me. I found out that the guy who was supposed to unlock it called a second guy and left a message for him to unlock it, but he didn't get the message yet. So I'm stuck outside for like 15, 20 minutes while it's starting to drizzle yesterday morning. And I'm holding these tests for whatever AP test it was. It was like English, composition, lit, whatever. I don't know what it was. So then the students start showing up and they're like, why can't we get in the room? And I'm like, because I don't have a key for it. And the guy's supposed to unlock it. And I'm explaining all this stuff. I'd made a bunch of phone calls. Eventually, 2 people showed up to try and unlock it. And they did. And we got in. And it's just a trailer where they're taking these AP tests. It's a trailer that's like not very well air conditioned. I know, for AP testing. Apparently, we couldn't take it in the school because they would be distracted by they would be distracted by things or whatever. I don't know. Even though we've been whatever. Yeah. Next to the Board of Ed office, next to the Collins School. Yeah. So AP students have to take their AP tests in a trailer next to the Board of Ed office. Yet we got new turf for the football field. Yeah. Anyway. I don't know what she's saying. Anyway, cool. So as for today, I'm pretty sure human sacrifice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as for today, my goal is to wrap up the lessons. Is to wrap up the lessons and the practice on graphing these rational functions. Possibly take a couple steps forward with that, but I'll show you when we get there. I'm basically picking up where we left off on Tuesday. But I mentioned the post-assessment that you guys are like, what? Well, it's time for the post-assessment for the first standard in the intervention period that we have been doing. Now, the pre-assessment did not count against you, but the post-assessment will, but I am not making it due literally at the end of the class period. I think that's a little inhumane. I'm going to make it due at a point tomorrow, but you are going to work on it in class today. Basically, as long as you are working on it, the thing will say in progress. The thing will say in progress. You should make sure you write down or type down the code somewhere that I am going to give you for this link it post assessment. But as long as you finish it by, let's say, I'm going to ballpark it at 11 because that's the beginning of my 3rd period class tomorrow. But as long as you finish it by 11 a.m. tomorrow, then we are good. So I would like you to work on that when the intervention period begins at noon. It is the 6 questions, yes, but it is no longer the pre-assessment. It is the post-assessment, and it will count. Now, what it would count as, I am going to be counting it as a minor. I would not have 6 questions, 6 multiple choice questions as a major. That's another inhumane thing I won't do. Because you think about it, like multiple choice math. How easy is it to get something wrong on multiple choice math? Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying. It's like guessing is one thing, but I'm just saying, if you make like the tiniest of mistakes, there's no work to show. You get one wrong, boom, you're down to an 83 with one wrong. Yeah. Because there are 6 questions and 5. Yeah. In terms of how it's going to be graded, I'm going to have to get back to you on that, but it will be in your favor. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, 2 wrong out of 6 puts you down at a 67. I'm not putting in a 67. Are you kidding me? I'm not putting in a 67. So there is going to be some kind of weighting to it. I just don't know exactly what form it will take, but it will be in the student's favor. Trust me on that. So anyway, that's what's in store for noon today. Yep. Which is why I'm not counting it as a 67 if you get 4 out of 6 correct. It's going to be much better than a 67. Believe me.
Yeah, but still like an 80.
I know. We're going to figure this stuff out. Don't worry. It's stuff that they're requiring. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, I'm going to ask for 2 specific things. Number 1, last class on Tuesday, I presented to you, or gave to you, actually. I'm going to show it to you here. Hold on. Flip that camera over. I gave you this worksheet. That we began working on in class together. I do have extras, but I need you to dig out that worksheet. For those of you that are online, I had posted last class, and you can see it right here in a moment. I had posted into the Google Classroom stream a PDF of this particular worksheet so you can see exactly what we're working on. But if you are in class today, I need you to dig out that particular worksheet, and I do have extras. I know. What's up?
It's pretty warm.
I know. The window has been open for most of the day, and the door actually has been cracked. I don't know why it's closed right now. Yeah, guys, we're taking an AP testing in a trailer, but we can afford a multi-million-dollar turf for the football field. But also, don't turn on the air conditioning till Memorial Day. Yeah. Kind of like this.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I would. Yeah. When are you taking yours? Okay. Anyone need a copy? No. No, it doesn't. Yeah, if you pass the test, then you get that college credit. It doesn't reflect on you. If you get like a 2 and you don't pass it, it doesn't reflect on you. You just got to retake the course in college, and now you have like a better understanding of it. Yet it apparently does reflect upon the AP teachers, because I hear all the time about how we got to bring our scores up. You know? Yeah, because I hear all the time about how we got to bring our scores up. I know. Let's take it in a trailer. It does to an extent, because, like I said, we were out of our element, uncomfortable, metal folding chairs. You know, it's just like in a room that they'd never been in before. When it feels a bit more comfortable, just come in and relax. You're in your regular building. You take it in a classroom. Yeah, today is the 6th. Look at the cube. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to do to kind of get this thing moving, I need you to go to the back of this worksheet, and I want to start with problem number 3. Problem number 3 is going to be the quintessential problem of this particular unit, or this section, I should say. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I would actually like to look at as to what this thing looks like in my calculator. Now, I am going to have to go through the process of identifying. What's up? Yeah, I got them right here. I asked multiple times.
Oh, my bad.
You were sitting right in front of me. So I'm going to type this thing in. Obviously, you have the ability to do this on your Chromebooks, but I just want to show you what this thing actually looks like right here. I'm just double checking to make sure that I typed it in correctly. Make sure you have parentheses around the top and the bottom just to see what this thing kind of looks like. Now, you guys, of course, hopefully you can see this clearly, but you see that vertical line that kind of connects the two? That's not supposed to be there. That vertical line is not supposed to be there. It is not supposed to connect them. So just for the sake of argument, when we eventually do graph this thing for real, Let me go to the table of values. Second graph. Now you go second graph, obviously you see a bunch of numbers floating around, and yes, there's an error right there. Oh, look, there's a second error. Look at this very closely. Look at this very closely. Look at where the errors occur in the X values. The first error occurs at -2. The second error occurs at -6. But when you look at the graph itself, if you look at the x-axis right here, that vertical line that is not supposed to be there is occurring at -2, perhaps a vertical asymptote. But then at -6, which actually should be 3, 4, 5, 6, it should be about right there, nothing's really happening. This is kind of a mystery. Why does it look like this, yet have these multiple errors floating around? You're not going to know unless you actually dive into the deepness of this problem. That's what we're going to do. This problem, number 3. The very first thing that you have to do, the very first thing that you must do in regards to this problem is factor. You need to factor. So whether you're at home and writing this down on wherever your notes should go, or you're here and you're writing it down on this worksheet, I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and write the following in terms of factoring. I need 2 numbers that multiply to -12 and add up to +4. 2 numbers that multiply to -12 and add up to +4.
-12, +4.
Yeah. What do you got?
That adds up to it?
Adds up to +4.
-2 and 6.
Yeah.
How do you think about it? My brain is, I'm a genius. Oh, my brain doesn't think like that. I'm a genius when I don't sleep.
Now down here, I need 2. This one actually should be a bit more straightforward because they're all positive. But 2 numbers that multiply to +12 and add up to +8.
Wait, no.
Yeah. +6 and 2. Now this is important. And hopefully you can see why factoring this thing is vitally important. Because what do you notice happens after we factor? Yes, it does. And that has consequences. The fact that this x plus 6 is going to cancel out in just a moment has consequences. And those consequences are going to play their way out when I get to my notes in a few minutes. They will cancel. And yes, you are going to be just left with x minus 2 over x plus 2. And now we're going to have to go through the process of identifying all the asymptotes and x-intercepts and all that stuff. But we cannot just ignore the fact that we canceled something out. This plays a role. Just for the sake of argument, let's talk about horizontal asymptotes. What is the degree of the original numerator? What is the degree of the original denominator? Oh, they're equal. So what does that mean? If the degrees are equal, how do we identify the horizontal asymptote?
Wait, what was the question?
I was going to say, well, she said that the degrees of the top and bottom are 2.
Yes.
So they're equal. And then I said, well, okay, if they're equal, how does that determine the horizontal asymptote? Now, say what you're going to say, though. Doesn't that mean that you...
Don't you just divide them? Like the top and bottom?
The top and bottom what?
The coefficient?
Yes. The leading coefficients. 1 divided by 1. Your is just 1 divided by 1 or +1. That is what's going to happen if your degrees are equal to each other. Absolutely 100% yes. What about your your vertical asymptote? It sounds like a what?
It sounds like if Ha was Russian
Va.
or French.
Ah, the French. Just go surrender somewhere. But still, vertical asymptote, according to the directions that we wrote, that we've been working with, you set the denominator equal to 0. Now your denominator right here is just x plus 2. You set the x plus 2 equal to 0 and solve. Yeah. If we're to find an x-intercept, you set the numerator equal to 0 and solve. And the numerator in this case is just x minus 2. Yeah. We just need to make sure we label things correctly. Now, ultimately, the last couple of things that I'm going to do is I'm going to find a table of values and we're going to try and graph this thing out. Yes. But let's just take a moment to see what's happened so far. Number one, you factor. If something can cancel out, then it must cancel out. But something is about to happen. I'm going to put this into your notes in a few minutes. Probably less than a few minutes now. But after that, you can continue, after that stuff cancels, continue as normal. Identify the horizontal asymptote based on the degrees. Identify the vertical asymptote by setting the denominator equal to 0 and solving. The x-intercept by setting the numerator equal to 0 and solving. And everything just follows as normal. Now, I'm ready for a table of values. But after that, I got to show you something for your notes. In terms of the table of values, there is that second error. Why is the error in this calculator occurring at -6? Why in the world is there a second error occurring at -6? I know why there's an error occurring at -2. There's an error occurring at -2 because of this vertical asymptote. We found that. That's why that error is there. But why the heck is there a second error at -6? Absolutely. There could be more than one vertical asymptote. But if I were to graph this thing, remember I showed you the graph as to what it looked like? Visually, it only looks like it has one. Correct. Well, typically vertical lines do not, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase, are not functions. They are not functions. They are not functional. They cannot be expressed as f of x equals. They can't. It's impossible. Ah, the thing fell. And typically, if you see a vertical line like this, now, how do I know if it's actually a part of the graph or not part of the graph? That's the work that we're doing over here. But keep in mind that this vertical line is occurring at -2, which is where this vertical asymptote is supposed to be. But why the heck am I getting that second error? Second graph. There's a reason. That second error is happening because of what just canceled out. We canceled out an x plus 6. Bless you. We canceled out an x plus 6. There is a hole in this graph. Literally a hole. And we have to account for that hole. This is where the hole occurs. Think of it this way. If I were to take -6 and plug it into the original problem right here, what would happen in the denominator? If I were to plug in a -6, what would happen in that denominator? What would you get in those parentheses? That's like a 4th grade problem. No, it's like a 2nd grade problem. My kid can do that. What's -6 plus 6? 0. If that x plus 6 were still there, you would be dividing by 0. but it's not. We canceled it out. Yes, you did cancel it out. But it's still in the original problem. And since it is still in the original problem, you have to account for it. So here's what I need you to do. We're going to come back to this. If you do not already have them out, I'm going to need those notebooks out and open. Very briefly, I need to give you some notes so we can get back to this problem. Today is the 6th. This is graphing rationals continued. And today I got to talk about holes. If after factoring a term cancels out, then you have a hole. In our case, the term that canceled out was x plus 6. If after factoring a term cancels out, then you have a hole. Basically, set the term equal to 0 and solve. Set the term equal to 0 and solve. The hole will look like an, quote, open circle. And I'll show you how to deal with that. Let me move that up a little bit so you can see that. If after factoring a term cancels out, then you have a hole. Set the term equal to 0 and solve. The hole will look like an open circle. Do you guys remember back in the day when you had to do like inequalities on number lines? Open and closed circles. That's what I mean by open circle. It's just like an O with like nothing in it. I'll show you how to graph that when we get there. I'll show you how to graph that.
When you say set the term equal to 0 and solve, like, I mean, okay, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask at this point.
Go ahead.
The x plus 6 canceled out.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. So why are we setting what and why are we setting it to 0 and solving?
We're setting it equal to 0 and solving so we can find the location of the hole. If something cancels out, then you got to know where that hole actually is.
So what exactly would it be? It would just be x plus 6 over x plus 6 equals 0?
Well, let me show. I'm going to write it on that paper again in red ink. I'm going to show you what I mean. So the term that canceled out was x plus 6. I know what you're saying by like saying it twice, but the term that canceled out was just x plus 6. If you set that x plus 6, just the x plus 6, let me show it right here. There it is right there. If you set just the x plus 6 equal to 0, and then you solve, what do you get? Well, what do you get? That is the location of the hole. The hole will now occur at -6. Which is why when we created this table of values, or I'm sorry, not when we created, but when we looked at it in the calculator, when we looked at that table of values in the calculator, it occurred as an error because holes basically produce the exact same thing that vertical asymptotes do in terms of errors. You can't plug in that -6 because it will produce a 0 in the denominator. This only occurs under these circumstances of things canceling out. That's the only time that it happens. The only time. In fact, we did a problem, or we did a few problems like this the other day. There we go. Here's a couple problems that we did on Tuesday. Or here's one problem we did on Tuesday right here. There was no hole because nothing canceled out. In fact, there was the second problem. We didn't finish the second problem, but the same thing happened. We factored, but nothing canceled out. If nothing canceled out, then there's no hole. But here there is. Here's what we're going to have to do. I'm going to my calculator. I'm going to my table of values. And I'm going to write in a couple of points to the left of the error and a couple of points to the right of the error. Now there's multiple errors, so I'm going to have to write down another couple of numbers. I'll show you exactly what I wrote down in a moment. There we go. Zooming out. Here's what I wrote down. Those are all the numbers that I wrote down for my table of values. All you need to do is write down a couple of numbers to the left and to the right of those errors. And as long as you do that, you should be fine. Give you an opportunity to copy those down because we're going to draw this thing out in a moment. You don't actually have to put the errors into your table of values because we're already going to account for them on the graph. So let's see. Guys staring at your phones, showing each other funny pictures. No, I don't. No, thank you. Question, go ahead. I can't hear her question. Go ahead. Oh, the whole thing? Sure. Is that okay, or does it need to be a little bigger? Okay. I'm going to start drawing the asymptotes. So first, I got a vertical asymptote right at -2. I'm going to put it in right there. I have a horizontal asymptote at +1. I'm going to put that sucker in right there. And I have an x-intercept at +2. Now, I can't do the hole just yet. But I will show you what the hole looks like when we get there. First, let me just put in some numbers here. 0, -1, -1, -3, -4, +3. Oh, I missed the -3, +5. There it is. 2, 3, 4. -5, 2 1/3. 6, 7, and 1.8. There we go. And then 8 and 1.67. There we go. Good, 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 good. The way I'm going to draw this thing out, again, with those smooth curves, it's going to flatline and flatline, just like normal. But now there's a little bit of an issue. That hole is going to occur when x crosses -6. I'm going to zoom in on this. That hole will occur approximately right there. And look what I drew for it. Look what I drew for that thing. The graph is still going to function exactly the way that I believe it will, with those smooth curves and flatlining at the asymptotes. But that hole is going to occur as an open circle. Mind you, this doesn't happen all the time. This only happens occasionally. Getting a hole in a problem may only occur like 1 out of every like 5 or 6 problems. But if they do happen, you have to account for them. And I'm just going to account for it like an open circle, like that. Oh, this problem. So here's what I want you to try and do. Here's what I want you to try and do. I'm going to help you get started on number 4. But then I'm going to give you a small block of time, like a few minutes, like maybe 3 minutes block of time to finish number 4 in its entirety. Talking about identifying everything that you can possibly identify. But I'm going to get you started on number 4. You're going to have to identify the asymptotes, if they're there, x-intercepts, table of values, the whole deal on number 4. But like I said, I'm going to get you started on it. The very first thing that you need to do on a problem like number 4 is factor. You need to factor. What does the top of this factor into? I know it factors, but what are my 2 magic numbers? I need 2 numbers that multiply to -12 and add up to +1. This is going to tell the story of the rest of this problem. Whatever these numbers are going to affect everything. Now that's the key though. You said -3? This is a huge deal. This is a huge deal. Tell me, does anything cancel? It does not. So, for this problem, there are no holes. That's a huge statement. Since there are no holes, you can continue with the rest of the problem. All right, they're having a conversation. What I want you to do, I want you to take the next little block of time, take the next like 3-ish minutes, and I want you to go through the process of this problem number 4. I want you to identify horizontal and vertical asymptotes. I want you to identify x-intercepts. I want you to create a table of values, and I want you to try and graph this thing to the best of your ability on this paper. See what you can do with it. does. Mm-hmm.
Are we worrying about, like, because you said under certain conditions there can be slant asymptotes? How are we dealing with those? Like,
I have not specifically said how to just yet, but I'm very glad that you got to that. What's the word? That recognition. I guess I don't know what to call it. That realization, because that's important though. The rest of it you can kind of knock out. You can knock out the rest of those details, table of values, vertical asymptote, x-intercept, that whole thing. But now you realize the horizontal asymptote problem. Mm-hmm.
well,
There is
there is none.
There's no horizontal asymptote,
Yeah,
but there is a slant. I just haven't told you how.
but for the hot, so for now, there's just none.
Correct.
For now.
Yes. There will not be a horizontal asymptote on this particular graph. There will not be.
So it kind of just goes. There's no like stopping point.
That's a way of putting it, I guess. That that it doesn't really flatline horizontally. Now, there is, according to our instructions, there is a slant asymptote. I just have not told you how to find it yet.
And for the table of contents.
Table of values.
Yeah. How do we do that without like a calculator again?
You will need to use a calculator. The easiest, fastest way is with a calculator.
On your computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take a because I have my notebook and then the computer takes a whole thing.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
I can definitely take notes and use the computer. That's why I'm sitting here like this.
I know. I try not to have you guys take up both at the same time a lot. I try at least. I mean, obviously there are some times where you kind of have to, but I know it can be like very frustrating. And unfortunately, they still. I mean, we talked about the dividers.
Yeah, like,
They
what is-
still have not given me the go ahead to say, here's a graphing calculator, because then every single class period they'd have to be disinfected.
half of my classes we don't even use the dividers. Like some teachers just like don't have them.
And well, that's their prerogative. I'm not going to paint a target on my back.
Those is like,
That looks good. I'll work with that.
they're not. It's not like they're insulated. You get the table,
I know.
or do you just draw?
No. I have some sort of.
You didn't have a table of contents.
I had an idea.
She said table of contents.
See? I have an idea. Just not a very good one. And I said,
You should say that more often whenever you have ideas.
I have ideas, not very good.
Oh my gosh, you have like.
All my ideas.
That's a phrase that my buddies say when we go camping.
Well, I have an idea, but it's not a very good one.
No, I'm just going to send it.
We should go.
I'm just gonna send it.
Yeah.
I don't know if people above 35 years old said that.
I'm 37, so I don't know, I'm just saying. Whenever we go camping, when we go camping.
When we go camping.
Yeah. It's kind of the inside joke when we go camping, because we've been going camping for like 7 years.
We should go camping. We
No,
should-
I don't
have
wanna
a tent.
be
I have a tent. We should go camping. We should get all the guys. We should go camping.
No, I
Yeah,
definitely.
Paula, you wanna go camping?
I don't think Ryan wants to go camping.
Yeah, Paula, you wanna go camping? Paula, are you still in the group chat? Are you still in the group chat?
I don't think he is.
No, you left? Which one is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
It's like the time
We have
you
so
getting or something
many.
like
anyway. Well, I'm just going to say in terms of, Declan, in terms of camping, me and my buddies, we've been going camping probably like 2 or 3 times a year with our kids. In like springtime, fall time. Like a couple years ago, we went down to Lowe's, Delaware. Last year, no, was it last year? It was the year before. We went to Mount Tammany in North Jersey. It was awesome. Like a 4-hour hike up Mount Tammany.
That's sick. No, what was it? In Pilots, I used to go camping out there with my dad.
Yeah.
And we used to go to this one spot every time, and it's like, it's right on the lake, and it's like really hidden,
Okay.
And, I don't know, I just remember we went there like November because my dad didn't want to get like chiggers or ticks or whatever, and I just remember like we left at like 1 a.m. because I couldn't feel my feet.
Oh, fun.
And it was so bad.
Well, my kids, since they've been 6 months old, have been going camping at least 2 or 3 times a year.
That's,
Like, I'm just saying, like, because I never went camping growing up,
yeah.
you know. But anyway, back to this. Slant asymptotes. As you pointed out,
I have a bunch of here.
there will be a slant asymptote for this problem. But I have not told you how to find them yet. So here's what we're going to do to find these slant asymptotes. Now, if the numerator has a larger degree, there is no there is no horizontal asymptote. So for this particular problem, there's no horizontal asymptote. There's no horizontal way that this graph is going to end. Instead, it will end in a slant asymptote. Instead, take the leading terms of top and bottom and divide. I will show you exactly what that looks like for this particular example. So let's just say example, and that's this problem that I'm writing down. F of x equals x squared plus x minus 12 over x plus 3. What's the leading term of the top of the fraction? No, that's the leading coefficient. What's the leading term? It's x squared. What's the leading term of the bottom? X. Now I say instead take the leading terms of the top and bottom and divide them, meaning what is x squared divided by x? Well, when you're doing x squared, isn't that x times x? So x times x divided by x. Yeah, it just ends up being x in this case.
What is the top say?
Oh. Oh, that's one of the case that we wrote down last week. If the numerator has a larger degree, there is no ha. Okay. Well, my point being, though, is that y equals x is the slant asymptote that we are going to have to draw. Y equals x for this example is the slant asymptote that we're going to have to draw. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like on paper in a moment. Do you remember in Algebra 1 when you were drawing lines? Rise over run, slope, and that fun stuff? People wish they could just go back to Algebra 1.
It was so easy back then.
Well, that's what this is, though. This is just a slanted line with a slope of 1. And you get that by just dividing the leading terms. So now let me go to my graph. Let me zoom it in right here. And let's talk about what's going to happen with this. First and foremost, there is no horizontal asymptote. As I just wrote in the notes, there is a slant asymptote at y equals x. I'll show you how to draw that in a few moments. There is a vertical asymptote, which occurs where? Yeah. X equals -3. There are actually 2 x-intercepts. Where do they occur? Yeah.
You really emphasize the B on the intercepts.
Why not?
Intercepts.
You have to enunciate. I'm not only speaking to a classroom, but I'm speaking to the internet right now.
The internet. So we're speaking to like 3 people who are asleep.
Yeah. But I'm hoping I get in through osmosis.
Is there like something to do with like water?
It's like
Osmosis Jones.
So here's what we're going to do.
Obviously, it's one of the best movies ever.
osmosis job.
All right. Look at this.
Fire.
Going to draw out this negative 3 asymptote.
That's how that works. Oh, I don't understand.
I'm going to draw out this slant. Now, notice the slant right here. It's still a dashed line, but I'm going up and over at a slope of positive 1. Y equals 1x. There is my slant asymptote.
Wait, so how do we find?
No, ask it anyway.
No, it's not.
But what if someone else has the question?
No, it's not because you already went over it.
I feel like I asked enough questions for all of us combined.
A little, yeah.
Well, questions are like the questions are the best part. I'm just saying from everybody. Like we had that conversation on Tuesday. That wasn't where I intended the lesson to go, but still, it was like brilliant in terms of what we were doing. You don't remember? Do you know how to give speeches?
Speeches? No, I was actually in speech class for 3 years.
So was I.
Really?
Yeah.
I said I couldn't pronounce vanilla. I said vanilla.
Nice. No, I had a TH problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
He sounded like what's that dude? The big dude, the boxer, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
You sounded like him?
Eh.
Probably not, because you're like.
No, but still, I'm just saying. Like I was in speech in elementary school for about 3 years,
Because you're not.
probably 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade.
So I had it. I think first. No, can you go from first and second?
I gotcha.
And I remember her name was Mrs. Silver, and she was very nice. And we played games, and I learned how to say vanilla
Can I tell you why I had it though?
because you couldn't say.
No. People say, now I don't know if this is true for everybody, but people say that if you have a parent that has an accent that is not typical of the country that you live in, then the language that you learn ends up having a bit of a speech problem. For example, living in America, my mom, she was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She has an accent, a very thick accent. I'm half.
You don't look.
Yeah, I know. So my mom still has a very thick accent to this day, but when I was growing up learning English and listening to her, I'm trying to learn English, but through her accent. So it ended up messing with my speech patterns.
I could never. I still like kind of struggle to say it. Suspicious.
Yeah.
I struggle to say it.
All right.
What would you say? Like so.
For what? No, just the TH thing really messed me up.
Yeah, but like, how would you say something? Like, how would you say 3?
Well, try to say 3, but like put your tongue between your teeth.
No way.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
So anyway, back to this. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask to go to the bathroom while you guys were talking.
Oh, sorry. I got a little sidetracked. Yeah. Let me, you can go ahead. I'm just going to finish this up. So let's see. X-intercept at positive 3, X-intercept at negative 4. Now, I've already gotten a table of values. I want you guys to copy this down. These are the only numbers that I got for the table of values because those are honestly the only ones I need. I went to the left and to the right of that vertical asymptote.
You got this from the calculator?
Directly from the calculator. You don't have to worry about it. Now, mind you, I'm just going to slide this calculator up real quick just to show you something. When you type this in, notice that I typed in the original problem.
Yeah.
Do that with
That's
parentheses.
in graphing, right?
Yeah, you hit y equals, type that sucker in, second graph to get that table of values. And all I worry about is going a couple of points to the left and a couple of points to the right of that error. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to plot those points. -5, -4. So -5, 1, 2, 3, 4. -2, -10 goes all the way down here. -1, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now notice what's going to happen with this graph. There is no horizontal asymptote. But instead, this graph flat lines with the vertical, and it flat lines on a slant. Notice how that flat lines on a slant. It flat lines with the vertical, and then it flat lines with the slant. That's the way that this graph should be portrayed. I'll show it on the calculator in a moment.
That was you, right?
What'd you say, Jess?
Were you right?
Was I right? Basically.
Well, yeah, what he said was it wouldn't flatline in the horizontal direction. Now, I'm going to, Declan, taking a quick glance at your paper that you showed me, just to clarify one thing. When this line goes up like this, do not have it slant backwards. You have it slanting slightly backwards. It's got a flat line with that asymptote. Yeah. Wherever the asymptote is, it's going to flatline with the asymptote. Yes.
That Rubik's Cube with the date.
Yes.
Do you have to like
Solve it every day. Yes.
that sucks.
Takes like 3 seconds.
You know how to do that?
Yeah, I'm a genius.
If I scramble up this Rubik's Cube, do you think you could solve it? Like,
That is not a regular Rubik's Cube. That is a cryptology Rubik's Cube used for hiding things. Here. When it is solved correctly, because it's not able to be scrambled very easily, but when it is solved, come on, you. It's the blue side. There it goes. It's supposed to
Wait.
pop open. It only works like that when it's solved.
Wait, let me see real quick.
Just a penny.
Can I put something in there?
No.
You're funny.
Yeah.
Can we put a note in there?
Anyway, well, that's kind of the point. When in a cryptology, we're eventually going to do like a room escape scavenger hunt, and that's going to be part of it. But you'll see. Anyway, now, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do is I want to get set up for that post-assessment I was talking about. I want to give a brief set of instructions before I set you off on this. Now, first and foremost, this post-assessment, like I said, will be due tomorrow by 11. I wanted to do before the beginning of third period. Typically for a post-assessment like this, it'd be like, oh, it's due at the end of the class period or it's due at the end of the school day. I want you to have a little bit more time to focus on these problems since these problems will count. Now, it's just going to count as a minor, but I wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page with that. Oh, that was close. That was it rimmed out. Gosh. That's what you laugh at? Here I am talking about asymptotes all day, and that's what you laugh at.
Yeah, 7th grade P3B coming in.
Yeah.
That's why you're B team.
Yup. Yeah.
Yeah, I played one game. I got sacked by a girl in Lacey.
Good job.
Wait, you got sacked by a girl? I think so. Either that or a guy with really, really long hair.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. Lacey.
So
Yeah, and I got fished.
I need you to go on to the Google Classroom to find that test taker link. I'm going to post it afresh right now. And I am going to make this code available to you.
I knew you were going to say those exact words.
Okay.
I don't think you did at all. No, I was literally about to say it for you, and then I was like,
I'm going to flip that thing over here.
you know, hands on the face, each other's.
When you go to that test taker, you got to type in this code. You have to find your name. And then you can begin. Yes, that test taker code I just put into the Google Classroom stream. Now listen. Oh, I'm going to give you the paper that we just finished up in a moment. Now listen. I will have a Google Classroom assignment that you will have to submit. Wow.
Whoa.
I will have a Google Classroom assignment that you will have to submit that will be due tomorrow by noon. When you finish the Linkit assessment, the post assessment, you are to go to the Google Classroom assignment and just click submit. and then I eventually will update the grade through that Google Classroom assignment. But please, yes, for the post assessment. So this is the link for it. Yes, the test taker link I just put into the stream. But I want to emphasize, this is not due until tomorrow at 11 a.m. So don't feel like you have to finish it by the end of the class period. Okay? Yes. The heck is he doing? As long as you don't submit it. That's why I'm saying, can you please not do that? What are you doing? No, it won't erase it. But I believe that if you go back for the code, you should be able to find your name again, as long as you didn't submit it. Because you know how at the end you have to actually click to submit?
I remember one time I was taking a test on it and I didn't submit it, but I logged out and I went back in and all my answers were erased.
It was?
Yeah. I'm gonna test this theory right now.
Okay.
But that could be.
Well,
maybe it would just be-
it's a good idea though. Oh, she's gonna test it actually, but then okay, so you test it out and see how it works. But what I was gonna suggest was that if that is the case, then perhaps you should write your answers down on a separate sheet of paper, and then when you go back to it, if it did erase it, you know exactly what you picked. Yeah. But you will have the remainder to do this. But like I said, it is not due until tomorrow, but you cannot forget to submit once you are done. Because until you submit, the thing just says in progress. I would write down that code just in case. Here's the last problem that we did. The thing that I would emphasize is, I'll let you borrow this for a minute. The thing that I would emphasize is the flatlining. It's not going to flatline horizontally. It's going to flatline with this.
Okay. It saved my.
Save the answers? Well, there you go. That's not us.
I don't know. I think so.
So I'm going to put all of that into the Google Classroom assignment.
Wait, so the thing that we're doing right now, we only have we have till the end of tomorrow to do it,
11 a.m. That would be the beginning of third period.
but there's only 6 questions.
Yes, but here's the deal now. When we took the pre-assessment,
Yeah.
the pre-assessment you had to get done. I was trying to get you done before the end of the class period. The pre-assessment was just determining for that standard whether you did the mastery, or the non-mastery. The
Yeah.
pre-assessment did not count,
Okay.
but the post-assessment does. And I personally don't think it's fair to have to force you to rush to get done these 6 problems in 23 minutes.
Yeah.
So just in case, because obviously you got fourth period, you get stuff going on after school, just in case, I made it due tomorrow at 11 so that you had a little extra time.
Oh.
So just in case, if you do happen to get it done before you leave here today, the assignment is live on Google Classroom. So again, you don't have to attach anything. You just have to make sure that you've submitted the Link It assessment. And then you can click submit on Google Classroom, just so I know, oh, you did it, great. But I'll put your grade on it through that.
This one, is it true that you're not supposed to like teach on? I heard that like teachers weren't supposed to teach on.
What does that mean?
Like they'll pass, like only like when they came back, they said that you weren't supposed to like teach on like afterwards. Like
Came
different
back from
stuff,
what?
like virtual. Some teachers like weren't supposed to teach on or something.
What does teach on?
What? Yeah.
Like-
What does that mean?
like-
Like he could like different lessons.
Well, no offense, but that kind of ruins the whole purpose of teaching.
That's what I heard.
Well, this whole year is kind of ruined the whole purpose.
Well,
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah. This
No,
year just kind of.
I shouldn't say that. No,
No,
it's been
you're not wrong.
it's been incredibly difficult. Let's just put it that way. But I have not heard that. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I don't really remember
Yeah.
this year.
Can you like help us in any way or no? Just like I don't even know where to start. Oh god.
Unfortunately, I can't like. You know how like sometimes it's like, hey, can you point me in the right direction? Can you tell me what I'm doing? But I can't do anything with that. The only thing I can do is clarify what the question is.
Yeah.
They plan
I literally made this fall down the first flight of steps, and then I got up and fell down.
Okay.
So I know that y equals x would just be like a slant across the y equals x. Let's stay in the front help.
Basically,
Let's stay in the front help.
from the
I didn't fall
original equation, let's say the y equals x squared, it has been shifted or translated in a horizontal and a
But I
vertical
also
direction.
kind of get this stuff.
And what they want is, well, which one of those
You're
equations
not.
will produce the translation that they described in the problem? Which one of those equations will produce the verbal description of that translation? That's what I can clarify. Yes. Yes, prop stat, half year, and AP stat.
I have so much different times. I just realized that. I think I'm stupid.
College prep, there's no prerequisite. Yeah, it's an elective class. It's a half year elective class. For AP statistics, you, to be eligible from Algebra 2 CP, you would have to maintain an A average per year or get the teacher
You're gonna need
to
that
sign
more
off on
often.
it. The Algebra 2 teacher to sign off on it to get into that. If you're in honors, they only require a B or better, because obviously it's a more stricter course.
I don't know what help me really.
Well, let me see if I can clarify. Ask it anyway.
So I know time place like you get it from there. And then you add so this would be these or no, that's
Well, let me just say this. I can't confirm how to do it. I can't confirm how to do it. But what I can clarify is that when you do have a variable just kind of sitting there, then yes, technically it would be to the first power.
Very down.
But beyond that, I can't say it because
I finished.
That's up to you. You can submit it, but like I said, it's not required to submit it until, by 11 tomorrow, 11 a.m. tomorrow, just in case you wanted to go back and take a look at it. So it is entirely your choice if you want to submit it now.
Now I'm to the point where I finished it quickly, and I'm like, it's either I knew what I was doing or I really didn't, and I
Okay.
thought I didn't.
Well, like I said, this is why, like, I wanted it to be low stress, in the sense of, like, when the clock is like ticking and it's just like, and now you're panicking. I'd rather you second guess yourself than panic. You know what I'm saying?
I can find out right now if I messed up.
And then for the assignment that you just uploaded,
Yeah.
you should mark those down.
Yeah, just mark it as done, and then that'll just give me the heads up to go in, and I'll update the grade once I determine how the thing is going to be.
Is this like a major
Weighted.
or-
No, it's a minor. I would not make 6 questions a major.
7. That's a major.
Maybe. No.
So we pause this for like tomorrow or whatever. Maybe you have to put the code back in or something.
If you do, the Google Classroom assignment has the code in there.
Oh, it's just class.
1222. Even though the thing on the board says 1223. The bell rings at 22 and no one listens. Most likely. I feel like Linkit just encapsulates the feel of what this school year has been like.
Yeah, really.
You guys have not had to go through the frustration of creating assessments in Linkit. The interface is horrible.
Is he a dog?
He's like a moose or a dog.
He's a dog. So what is Pluto?
He's a
That's
dog.
kind of messed up.
It is.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, wait, isn't Goofy a dog?
Question.
What?
Who is Mickey Mouse's girlfriend?
Minnie.
And who is Donald Duck's girlfriend?
Daisy.
Daisy, and she's a...
Duck.
Okay. Who's Goofy's girlfriend?
A moose.
No, it's a cow.
No, it's a cow.
It's a cow.
Oh. Why do they all have like girlfriends?
No, isn't Goofy?
No, the
cow?
better question is, how does Goofy, a dog, have a girlfriend that is a
Goofy's
cow?
not a dog.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes.
Wait, but no. My question is, if Goofy's a dog and Pluto's a dog, then why is Pluto on like
Sing
all
the
four?
song Hot Dog. Oh yeah, literally. Why?
No, hot dogs are just.
Why is one dog of more intelligence than the other?
Yeah, like why is one dog like an actual like domestic animal and the other one's
The other one's
Here's a
like-
kids show.
The other one has rights. It
He
doesn't make sense
is
to me.
a tall anthropomorphic dog. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on.
That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
There you go.
Is Google Classroom like down?
That's really messed up. He gets to be a dog and Pluto gets to be a dog, but he can talk.
So hold on, hold on.
You ever see Goofy getting his smacked up?
Yeah.
Every time I hear that song, I just think of Goofy.
Next thing you know, Pluto's like a
Short-haired dog.
what? That
Pluto is not anthropomorphic.
I don't like
I don't like that. That's messed up.
it.
I'm gonna sue Disney.
Sure. I'm sure you'll win.
Most. Why is Google Classroom not like
It's not
Because it doesn't like you.
working for me.
Not really messed up though. I literally just thought of that. I was like, wait.
You're not the first.
Damn, you and Justin Bieber in the game.
So,
No, I know. I just couldn't find your shoes.
it's funny because you're like such a good hairstyle. You're like 4 shits and I had 1.
I was like,
All right. Now, keep in mind, class is officially not over for another 10 minutes, but I am going to end the live stream here. For those of you in the live stream, I have recorded all the comments so far. But if you haven't left one, I'm going to leave this open just for another 30 seconds or so if you have not left a comment. But again, this assessment is not due until tomorrow, so please do not feel rushed. Do not feel rushed to submit it right away. If you do, that's completely up to you. That's optional. But yeah, I will be checking these tomorrow. Until then, I'm going to sign off.
You have a Rubik's Cube that hides things.
Yes.
Do you have other things that hide things?
Yeah, my brain.
wait.